Welcome to another episode of the State of the Bulldogs. Tonight we have Grant and Jeb. Boys, welcome. Jeb, welcome. We know that you're going to be off camera here in a second, so everybody do not fret. We are not having technical difficulties, but a lot going on this week, emotionally, literally. Um, Guys, we're we're going a little bit off the script, off script. We're not having as formalized a show. We're starting with a chore. We threatened to have an emergency pod, decided against it. So here we are, normal episode, starting it off. Guys, initial reaction. How did you process everything? Jeb, we'll start with you.
It was just disappointing because we've lost, you know, Stan McRae. We lost Achor. Like these were two guys that we thought could help us get back to March Madness next year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where my mind went immediately.
Yeah.
How are we going to do that again if we were losing our guys like this, right?
Yep.
So.
Grant.
How are you going to do it again with all 5 starters from last year gone? We're still waiting on whether Ryland gets that extra year or not, but still you're going into this knowing that you got to replace all 5 starters from last year because obviously Jaden and Jermaine graduated throughout eligibility. You at least wanted some continuity coming back, and you thought you had a chore in the bag as kind of like that main centerpiece after AJ left. And then right up until the portal deadline, we get his tweet that he's entering the portal. So it's I'm sure it was a shock to the staff for sure, especially like the timing of it all. But I'm sure that they'll, after that happened, get locked in, and we'll get into who they added today and stuff like that. So they got to get back to work, and they can't hope that he might come back, which we'll get into in a little bit. But
Sure. I mean, well, yeah, you're exactly right, Grant. We thought it was teed up, right? Like we had Jermaine, who was kind of, the heir apparent coming into this year. Logan kind of handing him the head of the team status, captain status, whatever. And then it seemed like a chore would be stepping real nicely into that role. And he's not going to be here. And look, in the era of the portal, there it obviously split camps. Do we hate a chore? Do we love a chore? The answer is probably somewhere in between, right? Like we can respect what he did, we can appreciate what he did for Samford. He was certainly a core part of a groundbreaking uh, moment for the program, but he also decided to leave, right? Like loyal, like choosing not to be loyal has a cost, especially as a fan. And I don't know if we have to cheer for a chore in the same way that we should probably cheer for AJ, a guy that gave 4 years, right? Gave all 4 years to Samford, will earn a Samford degree. This guy, fly by night transfer, kind of your classic portal guy at this point, going to be going on his third school. We love him, but we now don't. It's a little conflicting, no?
yeah, that's probably why we waited until Monday night recording this when he announced last Wednesday that he was going to enter the portal. And you talk about how he was recruited. That's well documented. Bucky talking about with McElroy and Kubrick on Jocks here locally, 94.5 in
Mhm.
Birmingham, talking about the story to go get a chore. And you develop this guy into this guy he became into this basketball player who averaged like 3 points 2 years ago and couldn't stay on the court because of foul trouble. And you fast forward a year, you talk about the jump that he had, averaging almost 17 and 8 coming back. So once again, it's that development, which all these mid-major programs are dealing with. But still, we thought that we wouldn't have this happen, and it did. And like I said earlier, we have to move on and not think that he's coming back. We got to rebuild this team, like we mentioned.
Yeah, the jump is incredible. I guess the question, guys, and Jeb, you may be able to answer the best. Is another jump expected or realistic, right? Or has a chore kind of hit a ceiling? It's not like the guy's 19 years old, right? He's already kind of on the older side, been around the block, so to speak. Is there another jump to start on the Power Five level at a true contender, or is he just going to take the money and ride the pine? Like, what are we thinking here? Next steps for a chore?
I don't think so. I mean, there's always, kids can always improve their game year over year, right? And then even if you go play professionally, but I mean, in basketball, not many kids go play professionally in terms of like the NBA, right?
Right.
After. So what I've been thinking about recently is like, if you're going to make money playing basketball and if you're playing at like the mid-major level, like you're not like, this is the time to do that, to make money, right? And I think that's what we're seeing here, is that kids are like, oh, I can go make like a couple $100,000 a year or whatever, like playing basketball somewhere
right now.
through NIL. And it's like, let's take advantage of that, because that might, unless you go play Europe or somewhere else, you know, most kids are not going to make it to the NBA, simply because there's just not enough spots. Right. So,
no, that's a good point, Jeb.
But to answer the point of like, is like starting in like a Power 6 or Power 5 conference like realistic? I mean, it's certainly possible, but I think you can make more waves at the mid-major level. Let's be honest. You did last year. You know, you got on national television and you were able to play against Kansas, like play super well. Like, what more can you ask for? You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the answer is no. Like, but you
Great.
could just sit there and either ride the bench or be a 6-man or something. I don't know.
Yeah, Grant, what do you think?
We talked about this before we started recording. Like I've been telling or talking with other people, like friends and stuff. Like he's not at the mid-major level. He can play the 5, which obviously he did a lot for Samford until the last game against Kansas, where he and Alan Spock had to play to combat Kansas's size. He's more of a mid-major 5 and a high major 4, so he would have to slide into the 4 and something a little bit different role than he's probably used to. I mean, his ball handling and work on the perimeter has gotten better, which he's going to have to do a lot more with the stretch 4 going up a level. So if he went to a school like Auburn, where he's visiting on a Wednesday as we're recording this when this drops, he's going to be playing on a team that's going to contend for probably a national championship, at least SEC championship. And you go, depending on whether he can start alongside Janai Broom or go play the backup 4 or 5 spot, but Dylan Cardwell's still there at Auburn. So it's a pretty stacked front court once you throw him in the mix at Auburn. But still, do you want to go play on a championship team and maybe not start, or do you want to stay where you are at Samford? And like we know, he was going to be the guy coming into the year. It's basically obviously being the one guy coming back. So it's just a balance you have to have, that everybody's working on, that every mid-major program is having struggled with keeping their guys, obviously, because you go just with the SoCon, all 5 starters from the all SoCon team, first team, are all gone.
Crazy.
2 graduated, 2 in the portal, or 3 graduated, 2 in the portal, something like that. And throughout college basketball, everybody's struggling with that too. So it's just a matter of, again, like Jeb said, do you want to make money now, or do you want to have a bigger role, play more minutes at Samford, and maybe make similar money? But still, it's just a balance that everybody's dealing with.
Yeah, no, it's all about money. It's not about playing time. Because if he signs with Auburn, he's going to be 7th man. You know, he's not going to be starting.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Are you really going to make, like, do the guys, like the 7, 8, 9 guys on Auburn or whatever, another team, do they really make that much?
I mean, it's all relative, right? If it's $100,000 more, that's a lot. You know, I would ride the pine for $100,000. I'm not. Look, this is America. This is why we can't fault these guys.
Right. Exactly.
It's a free country, but as I like to tell my 1.5-year-old, it's a free country with consequences. And Achor has made his choice, and one consequence of that choice is now Samford Nation isn't in love with him nearly as much as they could have been. And that's kind of we talk about this, but I wanted to hear y'all's thoughts in this sense, especially in the transfer portal era. There's a lot of short-term thinking. Now, there's a very good chance that this short-term cash grab will far exceed any future potential earnings of staying at a school and building a legacy and then cashing in on said legacy with whatever you want to make it. Businesses in Birmingham, basketball camps in Birmingham, whatever, right? Connections in Birmingham. at a mid-major, that seems like a great sell, but is that even realistic, right? Like at a school like Oklahoma or Tennessee, it's a little more realistic, but is that even something guys need to consider at the mid-major level?
I mean, they don't really when you're going up. Like this portal guys, they're just dealing with, okay, let's make money now, and we'll figure out the rest later. Which we can't, like you said, can't fault them for that. It's just when you haven't seen or make that type of money. If you want to go do it, you can go. We can go make that money. So obviously, this portal cycle, everybody's needing bigs, like we mentioned a few weeks ago. Bigs like offensive linemen and football. Right? There's not that many seem to go attack. So I think he's making a good business decision, probably for him to go to try to seek higher, whatever you want to say, higher playing time and a higher role. But
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts there?
No, I agree with Grant. Really. So nothing much more there.
Yeah. Well, I guess the last question as far as Achor, um, I'm on the side of bump him. Like, forget about him. Last year was a great run, but never gonna, he's not gonna get tossed in the Quez bucket. He's not gonna just be a running joke on the podcast, but he's certainly not really anyone we're gonna care about moving forward. Where do y'all land on the how to think of Achor going forward?
let's wait till he picks a school and then we can have this conversation after that. I just playing it safe. I don't believe it either, but I'm just playing it
That's a
safe.
good.
Okay,
I like that answer, Grant.
let's
If he chooses Auburn and is the seventh man or eighth man on the bench, what are we saying here?
That's not very podcaster radio of me. I had to sit and not have an answer, but
Jeb,
I mean, the fan in me, the Samford fan in me is like,
just your
I don't.
face, dude.
yeah.
The Samford fan in me is like, it kind of becomes like Quez territory.
Sure. There's a lot of similarity.
Yeah. Whereas AJ is different, right? You talked about that.
Yeah.
AJ is also my favorite player. So that's
we love AJ.
Before, right?
AJ's a stud. Go Owls.
We bought the
also
t-shirts.
that block. But what if Achor goes to like, Chapel Hill or goes to Wake or something, right? Like that'd be
true.
Of course, you threw Chapel Hill out there first.
Yeah, right.
I'm just playing.
That'd be like an interesting situation, but yeah. Other than that, I mean, I think Samford Nation has every right to be disappointed in Achor. I'll just say that.
Especially, like I said, with the last minute nature, of this, right? Like tweeting at 10:15 when the portal window closes at 11:59 that I'm going to another school. That's obviously going to rub a lot of people the wrong way, no matter how long after the specific deadline you can still enter your name in the portal, 48 hours or whatnot. But it's just like the timing of it all. It's just what sucks, without a lack of a better term.
Yeah, no, that was not news I was looking for, that was news I did not want to hear as I was falling asleep. All of a sudden, I was just like, well, at least we have football season. All right, but let's continue the portal talk. So we talked about who we lost. All right, RIP, Achor, adios. Have fun anywhere else. But who did we add? A lot of activity, right? Like we kind of joked that we threw in is it panic time, and then Achor left, and then we're like, oh, we're not really kidding, it is panic time. But I think a lot of our fears have subsided. We have some exciting guys coming in, so let's talk about them. Who do we got? Who's coming?
Gosh, the portal combat is going strong for these major schools. But today, as we're recording on Monday, Samford added Wagner guard Julian Brown, started 22 games for Wagner for an in-state tournament team who won their first 4 game, and then against Jeb's Heels in the around a 64, he had 18 points there too. So
Pretty good.
It is cool seeing him step up at those big moments. And another bonus, he's going to have 2 years to play too. So it's awesome. It's not a one and done. He's going to have 2 years. Had to stay with the program.
Well,
knock on wood.
Let's not count them before they hatch, but at least one.
I say, like we said before we started recording, and Jeb will get into it, but his his experience is obviously going to help, especially as a team that's replacing all 5 starters, going to be the hunted as we talked about football season being the having the defending champ. It's a great addition, which would be the start of a second portal ad for Samford after calling Holloway a couple weeks ago.
Jeb, we know you like this guy. Why? What do you like?
I'm just excited for some tournament experience on the team. Honestly, like we just lost tournament experience, so
That's a good point.
Like now we have more. I was talking about earlier about how disappointed I was, like, you know, that our chance to get back to March Madness, like Bucky going out and getting, you know, Julian Brown is a sign that, like, okay, he wants tournament experience on this team, right? Like this team was in the tournament last year. So we're kind of restocking that experience on the team, which, you know, gives me a little bit of hope.
I like the fact that we're starting to climb the ranks. So, you know, Bucky likes winning. Like he likes winners, right? We got Ryland Jones last year and Big D. This year, we're going a little like Julian getting his team to the NCAA tournament, right? Division I. That's nice, right? Like Big D, D2 Natty cannot argue winner. Julian Brown, winner on the D1 level. You'll love to see that.
Yeah, for a YouTube audience, I've got his high-level stats here: 10 points per game, 2.9 boards, and 1.8 assists. Another plus, shot 37% from the field, and I want to say 35. I can look at it right here, but 36% from three. So that's obviously two big things. And we'll play a little video too for YouTube stuff. If you're listening to audio, you can go over to YouTube and check that out. But he can play off the ball. He's not really a point guard per se, but he can fill the role and have probably better than Garrett Hicks, but somewhere between a Garrett Hicks and a Bubba Palm, right? Guys that can play off the ball, that have starting experience, like Garrett did at Alabama A&M, starting every game but one over 4 years. So it is cool. Like we mentioned, his experience coming over to the Samford team, but for a team that, as we keep saying, lost a lot from last year.
All right, who else? Anybody else on the men's side? I think we added another guy, right?
Colin Holloway.
We already talked about him.
Yeah.
Who?
Right.
So we just have two right now?
Guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, maybe it is panic time then. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
It has felt like panic time for me.
Do what, Jeb?
To me, it's felt like panic time.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit.
I think if we didn't have Riley, it would be panic time. But we kind of had a solid. We don't have depth. We don't have big man depth at the moment.
Have we thought about how we feel about Zion?
Yeah, like he's going to be Zion. I'm going to confuse these guys. Y'all pay way more attention to this than I do. Which one's Colin's the 6'7" guy? He's the Jermaine replacement, correct?
Yeah, he's 6'6".
Okay. Yeah, 6'6",
Zion is a guard, correct?
Yeah, but he's still like 6'5". He's a little bit lighter on. I want to say $180, $190, but yeah,
he's like an AJ replacement.
Yeah, he's gonna be a freshman coming in,
a lengthy guard.
Long and length. Yeah, he's going to have a big wingspan. He's going to be more athletic. He's going to need a little bit too. And for YouTube guys, you can see some Julian Brown highlights here, attacking the rim, 48% field goal percentage when attacking the rim. Earlier in the video, you can see, as I mentioned, coming off screen, spot up shooter, which is going to be a big add once you get Josh Holloway, basically the primary ball handler in this lineup right now. Depending on, we'll see how that shakes out for the rest of the cycle. But he can play off the ball. Core threes, we saw Jaden do a lot too, and he's got a little bit of range too. I want to say he hit over 10 threes from 25 feet out, so he can pull it from deep if you need him to, which obviously in his offense, he's going to have a lot of chances to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel good about the guards, right? Like we have Walls coming back, we got Holloway, we got Zion, we got this guy. Like the guards are set. We're gonna need another big body. Because Riley, no matter how good, like he's already good and he's a true freshman, no matter how much better he's going to get, he's not going to be able to play 36, 38 minutes at 100%, right? So we're going to need somebody else.
One more thing to watch for Brown. Wagner played at the second slowest pace in the country. I wonder, one step slower than Virginia. Obviously,
And
shocking. Virginia
that
was
is
one of the
why we
slowest
got
teams.
this guy. That is why we got this guy. He wants
So
to
it's
play
gonna.
fast.
What a culture shock that is to go from the second slowest team in the country to Samford, who was top 8 in adjusted tempo throughout the year last year. So that's going to be
Dude, second
super exciting for
slowest
him.
team in
Yeah.
New York City to one of the fastest teams in Birmingham, Alabama. Like,
Yeah.
we're talking all kinds of culture shock. So buckle up. Hopefully, hopefully it pans out. That's the other thing. That's the high risk, high reward that football sees each year now with the portal era is if these guys don't hit, it's a long season.
Yeah.
In basketball, that the magnitude is even greater because there's only 5 bodies on the court, right? So if 2 of these guys don't hit, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah. So Samford now has 5 scholarship spots remaining.
That's a lot. Guys, y'all want to go try out? Get a free ride to Samford round 2?
Should we put our entire intramural team from Samford?
I mean, we joke, but if we don't fill those 5 spots, yeah, I'm game, coach. Put me in.
I was thinking to myself, it'd be cool, like YouTube content for like one of us to go through like a basketball, like every sport workout throughout the summer break, just seeing how we would fare. I thought that'd be kind of cool.
Dude, you're talking to the guy that was ready to tap out after warming up at football. So, all right, let's jump to the women's side. So we added some fun women's some fun pieces on the women's side. Grant, who did we get?
We added 2 players to this roster. Now Samford women only have one roster spot remaining. So the first,
Look at that.
and these are both, I know, right? These are both announced on Sunday night. UCF guard Sierra Gamble, what a great last name. She has 2 years of eligibility, a 5'6" guard. She played in all 29 her freshman year, made 14 starts. She led UCF in assists her freshman year, but I don't know what happened to her sophomore year. She didn't get to play as much she did as a freshman, so probably the reason why she's in the portal coming to a lower level like Samford. But still, she's got that experience playing in the American before UCF came over to the Big 12. So it's going to be cool to have her in the backcourt, somebody who can dish it out for her teammates. So that'll be cool to have somebody like that playing the 1 coming up next year.
I love it. All right, who else?
The second addition was forward Cameron Knight from Lemoyne Owen, which is a D3 HBCU outside of Memphis, I want to say.
Okay.
So she's played a lot of basketball. She's got 1 year left to play. She started every game last year. But check this out. She averaged 7 points per game and 10.1 rebounds per game.
Okay.
Yeah.
How tall is she?
She is
6'1". Okay. I was about to say if she was like 6'5",
Yeah.
that would be amazing. But all right, 6'1".
Yeah, she's 6'1".
That'll play.
Yeah, she had 8 double-doubles, 17 games with 10 or more boards. So you throw her. I don't know if it would be good to play her alongside Emily Bowman too, because Bowman last year won a Samford record for rebounding. Yeah, so they both have sick rebounding stats, both across the board. So I don't know if you play both together, but it is still.
I mean, yeah, 4 and a 5.
Cool.
Like you got 2 girls like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it doesn't matter men or women. Anyone's go crash the board. You can find yourself playing a lot of minutes for any team. Doesn't matter whether it's men or women. So yeah, they've added 2. They have 1 spot remaining. We'll see where they go to fill that. So pretty good news for the women as they restock their roster after they had some key departures from last year. Still another young team, much like softball, which we'll get into later, but still a young team to grow with Kylie Lewandowski coming over from Richmond. She's got 1 year to play. She was the first addition. So we'll see where they finish their portal cycle. So,
yeah, no, exciting stuff happening on the women's side. Only 1 spot left. We will get back to the portal just to give everybody a quick heads up. So we're going to talk a little Jaden Campbell and then get to everybody's questions. I think we had 6 this week. And then we're going to talk a little Samford Hall of Fame and then end, weirdly enough, this week with State of the Bulldogs with baseball and softball getting thrown down at the bottom, despite softball starting the SoCon tournament. There's just a lot going on right now. But with that little shout out to Jaden Campbell, he signed with the Scarborough Shooting Stars, the defending champions of the Canadian Elite League. So, little research. The Canadian Elite League was essentially it's the main rival for the National Basketball League of Canada. Basically, two dudes thought, or a couple guys thought, that there was a lot of, I don't know, poor leadership, poor vision, according to Wikipedia, on the in the National Basketball League of Canada. So they started this league in 2017. There's 10 teams. I don't know if this was true, but Wikipedia did say that it's the largest professional sports league with teams just in Canada. I thought the CFL had more than 10 teams, but maybe they just have 8. I don't know. I could have sworn they had more than 10. I also may have just misread that, but kind of cool. And I love that they, as I said, are the defending champs. So Jaden's getting on a uh, a pretty decent team here, and he gets to go home to Canada. What better way to start your professional career, but at home in Canada playing basketball? It's pretty sweet. So congrats, Jaden.
Sam, the CFL has 9 teams. They've got 9.
Oh,
Oh,
dang,
there
that
you
is
go. There you go.
surprising.
Yeah.
Thank
That
you,
is
Grant. I was about to
surprising.
come in with that.
There you go. So getting back to Jaden is cool. Becoming one of our favorite players last couple of years, getting to go start his pro career back home after he spent all these years in Birmingham. So it's cool him to get to go back home and do that and see where starting in this league takes him for further his career. So it's awesome to see.
Yeah, it was fun watching him go from, he would give us 1 or 2 highlight dunks a year to, wow, this guy's good at everything on the court. Clutch threes, defense,
Yeah,
you name it. Oh yeah, and he can dunk over anybody. So
yeah. I want to
that's
say he was,
a great get for the league.
according to Synergy last year, he was like the 9th in the country when it comes to catch and shoot threes percentage. He was one of the best in the country at that, which we saw a lot of.
Filthy.
And he hit those big threes against Kansas. Remember,
That's right.
coming off that elevator screen from the ATO from that baseline out of bounds, Samford had to cut the lead to 1. So
Yeah, incredible. All right, so everybody, y'all had some questions this week. So Colin Reese gave us a book of questions, but we love it. First one up. This is an interesting one. He asked if Coach Hatcher is going to employ a 2 quarterback system next year with Quincy and Mac, the Utah transfer, like he did in 2019 with Duncan and Liam. So a couple notes here, right? Let's go back to 2019, even though I know we don't want to. We were 5-7. And we lost 5 one-possession games. So before we get to just the
brutal.
stereotypical 2 quarterback system teams don't work, okay, because you can look at that record and make that argument. It
If you have 2
wasn't
quarterbacks, you'd have 1, Sam.
right. And it wasn't really as much that as it was a 2 quarterback system in the spring league, where it was kind of a split season between Liam and Chris. You look at the stats, and Chris really dominated everything. He had twice as many, or over twice as many attempts, way better completion percentage, was the second leading rusher. Liam was more of a compliment. I put pure speculation here. The only reason Liam might have been playing at that point is Chris did have a tendency to abandon the pocket pretty early. And in Hatcher's offense, that doesn't always capitalize on what the play design, right? And so at certain points, Hatcher might have felt that Liam is just going to give him a little bit longer in the pocket, give him a little bit better of a chance. Pure speculation. I have no true idea why we had a 2 quarterback system because, well, guys, one's in the NFL and one isn't. Um, the other thing, the assumption that's going to be Quincy and Max. So we're kind of with that understanding. We're with you, Colin. We think it's a 2 quarterback race between those two. But the only time, Grant, when you were at spring practice, the only other quarterback you saw throwing was Scalzo. So at the moment, it's a 3 quarterback race. Scalzo is talented, and we don't know much about Mac. Fall's going to tell us a lot. August will tell us a lot. Grant, any thoughts? Jeb, any thoughts here on the quarterback? We'll start with the quarterback race. And then is it close enough to even use a 2 quarterback system?
And I'm going to have to. Sorry, Jeb, go ahead. Yeah.
No, Grant, go.
No, I was saying when I went to practice, it looked like there were 25 green quarterback jerseys out there. There's so many I couldn't count all of them. But Mac was on the
Well, that
sideline. It
tracks.
was yeah, exactly a ton of green jerseys, and maybe Oklahoma transfer General Booty. Shout out. Speaking of last names, could be another guy in the mix. But yeah, I think it could be interesting, right? Obviously, Mac I didn't play Utah. Quincy I didn't play a lot last year, but didn't really flash as much as he did because obviously it's tough coming in those situations. I think Quincy will still start right away, and then we'll see where the season goes. Just like Odokin did in 2019, and then Liam took over after that. So I think we'll kind of see a little bit of that. We'll see if Quincy can hold on to the job or not.
Sure. Jeb?
I don't think so. My question is like, what benefit does that really give you?
Excellent question. Because to be fair, Quincy is not an elite runner nor an elite passer. He's a very good football player, and we don't know really too much about Mac. So it's hard to say if one of them even has the stereotypical elite X or elite Y to even justify putting them on the field for a certain situation.
Right. And so like, you know, what Hatcher, could do is play both of them early in the season to try and understand like where the skill sets are, like who's really at like what level, and it'd almost be like a QB battle, if you will. It could be
Well, John Harbaugh-esque
right
game by game.
I don't know. We'll have to. That's maybe something we need to maybe ask him about at media days, right?
Sure.
But that's my question: is like, what value does that really provide like a winning team, and like how are you gonna deploy the talent that we have? Because I don't know what the talent looks like outside of Quincy.
No, sure. And aside, can we all just say that Quincy is probably the most marketable backup quarterback out there in the entire country outside of Booty? I mean, what other especially on the FCS level, what other backup quarterback has NIL deals with cryo chamber companies? Like, what are we doing? Like, what a dog. What a dog. All right, next question. Colin, again, Grant and Jeb, this is much more your territory. 1 to 2 guys in the portal at the moment, men's basketball, who our team could use. I wanted to say who couldn't we use, but realistically, who are some targets out there, knowing that we've whiffed on most of them so far?
Grant, I think your audio.
Everybody, yeah. Grant, you're muted.
There we go.
There we go.
I think. Let's not leave that in. I think we obviously
need to
be
left in.
Obviously, we need to haven't want to record on YouTube. Anyway, you need to obviously go start looking at bigs, right? Obviously, what we talked about leading the show. So I think what we know publicly, Samford reached out. This was last week. They reached out to University of Illinois Chicago forward Jaden Brownell, 6'9", 30. He's got 2 years to play. He is a career 38% 3-point shooter, so maybe someone that they can kind of fill that kind of maybe a chore role. We'll see where that lands. But I think that'll be one guy to watch. They reach out to, and then a couple other guys, a couple other guards, which I don't know if they would still be in play depending on what the addition that they just had this week. But Presbyterian guard Samaj Steele started at Winston-Salem State. He shot 42% from 3 last year, 6'2", averaged 14 points a game. And then another one, a little bit smaller, 5'9", South Alabama guard Marcus Melender, averaged 10 3.3 assists, shot 44% from 3. So those are a couple of the publics.
I like that.
Out public that we have reached out to. So I think those are maybe guys to watch. We'll see. It's always tough to see with the reached out list. You don't know what happens and what's real and what's not. But
right.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add there?
I mean, one player we signed, Caleb Harrison. We didn't talk about him, but he's a center.
Freshman.
Freshman. That's kind of putting some talent behind Riley.
He's a stud.
He's
a stud. But it's also Alabama high school basketball. It's hard to say
Right.
It's hard to say what the first year jump is going to be like, right? By year 2, we expect him to be a freak, but year 1,
What's up with the
Right.
shot at Alabama High School basketball? What's that all about?
well, I think we all know what that's about. Not to say that, okay, well, we can take a shot at North Carolina. It's not like Allensbach's league. Jeb, you know this. Is Allensbach's league, was it any good?
Come on, man.
I'm
What?
kind of joking, but I'm not. Was it good?
Cue the Tom Hardy
Yeah.
bit. That's bait. That's bait.
No, it is they're in the top one of the top basketball conferences in the state.
Okay, well, there you go. So that would make sense how Riley's transition was fairly seamless. I'm just not expecting that as much from Alabama high school basketball guy. When Alabama becomes a basketball state, we can talk. Until that point, I'm going to take that. All right, let's get to Colin's next question.
What state did our head coach in for this, though?
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Grant. You're right. Mountain Brook was pretty good at basketball at some point.
Yeah, so he comes back if he doesn't get any offers, maybe. That's awkward.
So Colin's question is,
any
chance Achor comes back? Jeb goes, no. Grant, no. Me, no.
If Ted Lasso taught us anything, it's that the hope kills you. So it's better not to hope and not to think he could come back. But we could see. I remember I was listening to a podcast earlier talk about the portal guys. As of last week, when it closed, we'll see how many filtered in after. But there were 2,099 total entrants into the portal in this cycle in college basketball. Only 86 have removed their name and gone back to their current school.
Those are not good odds.
This is from 247 Sports. Yeah, 86 of the 2,099. Yeah.
That's like my point, right? It's awkward.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Like once you're in, you're like, that's like saying, well, I don't want to be here.
Yeah. Yeah. When we talked to Jermaine, we asked him, what is your view once a guy hits the portal? He's like, look, they're not on the team anymore. I don't think about them. They've said they don't want to play with me. I don't want to play with them.
Dude, I love Jermaine.
Again, he's a fan favorite.
I'm looking.
Can we sue to get him another year? Is that possible?
I'm looking at all these guys we offered and that went to other schools. Is that something we want to talk about, or are we going through questions?
We're going through questions, but Grant, to that point, Jermaine loves. Obviously, it's home, but the guy wants to go make a little coin and spend the year in Europe, a couple years in Europe, maybe a decade.
Nah, fam. Let's call Judge Dillard and see what we can do to get him another year. He's got to have some connects, right?
Hey, if public, I'm not going to go down there. So, next question from Ben Burnett: can Achor and Piggy win a natty? So, assuming Achor goes to Auburn, I guess in this scenario.
Yes.
So, if Achor and Piggy team up at Auburn, are they going to win a national championship?
On the bench. But yes, maybe.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jeb. Grant.
Mrs. Pegues, I did not say that. That was all Jeb. I did not say anything. Don't come at me.
She's coming after you. Someone might clip this and send this to her. She's coming. Buckle up, big boy.
Geez, I thought I was done with her. Oh, post it, but those Furman clowns on Twitter. Can Achor Pegues win a natty? I'm sure Auburn can. Auburn's got the tools, but Alabama might be the team to beat in the country right now, along with UConn and Kansas coming in early in the year. So I think Auburn could win a natty, but
no, it ain't. They could win a natty. It ain't going to be because of Achor and Piggy. All right, Adult Cuddy. Can Samford win the SoCon whilst returning none of their starters? Yeah, I mean, look, it's a portal era. We don't know how good or bad any of us are going to be.
Yeah, go ahead.
Question. This is exactly what my concern is in this offseason.
Yeah.
This is a fantastic question.
So what do you think?
I hope.
What did I say about hope, Jeb?
Right.
I
Well,
hope.
we talked about it earlier.
Yeah.
We've got the Tulane guy coming in. You've got the Gardner kid coming in.
You have your freshman core from last year remaining.
Four from last year. Hopefully they grow. You have your new freshmen. Whatever happens between now and start of the season, hopefully it's enough. That's my. I said hope again, but that's how I feel.
Okay, one question, guys. Can Bucky develop? Yes or no? Develop talent. Jeb?
Yes.
One word answer. Yes. Grant?
I think you can. I think you can. Yeah, I think so.
That was several words, but yes.
Yes, yes.
I think we're overthinking it, guys. I think that the fact that we got our 3 core freshmen returning, I think if that core makes the jump that usually all the guys make under Bucky year 2, there's a chance that these portal ads, while necessary, are icing on the cake, and you already have your conference core. It could be a year early. 1 or 2 could bounce after next year, and it could never really come into fruition. But I mean, compared to what everybody else is doing, like
Yeah.
UTC's reloading through the portal. Yeah, they got some dogs, we think, on paper, but as we see every year with UTC, can they put all the pieces together, right? Can they form a team? Furman, they tend to overcome the lack of talent. Now, granted, when they did have talent, they beat Virginia in the NCAA tournament, but they're usually the Wofford of football, where they're overcoming their on paper talent. So we'll see if our guys develop. We're good.
I think Adult Cuddy might be on Twitter, might be a FIFA fan using the word whilst. I think he might be playing a lot of FIFA and
Too
using
much
whilst
FIFA.
instead of while. But
You got to give him some credit for that.
yeah, so before we leave basketball, Samford obviously added one more this week, and the staff's been doing a lot of work to add some more. So potentially there could be some good news coming in the next week or so. So
Interessante. I like something to look forward to. While hope kills, hope is also eternal.
enough with the bad news. Let's get some good news out here, starting with Julian Brown today. So,
well, we're not going to good news this next question. So Mark Donham's back. We're talking baseball now. Is the SoCon a 2-bid league for regionals this year? The short answer is no. The long answer is also no, but here's why. So he's not really talking about Samford. In this scenario, Samford would win the conference tournament, let's say, but then it would leave UNCG and ETSU on the outside looking in. UNCG's RPI at the moment is 56, and ETSU's is 59. Both have pretty renowned wins, so to speak. I think it was UNCG who beat Wake. However, while those RPIs are fairly competitive for the very, very low end of the at-large bids, in fact, it's really outside of the at-large bucket. Their strength of schedules are 93rd ETSU and 88th for UNCG. ETSU has 1 quad win. UNCG has 2 quad wins. However, okay, even with all that said, I did find 2 examples going back 3 years where teams with similar resumes made the tournament with a giant caveat. And in those 2 years, the SEC and the ACC had 18 or less bids. There's a chance this year that they could combine for 20 bids. Like, it is an insane year for the SEC. So the 2 years were 2021. You had 12 conferences with multi bids, 5 non-power. So Conference USA, Big Ten, American, ASUN, Big South. So 5 non-power baseball conferences have multi team bids. And the Big Ten was one of these examples. Maryland. RPI was 56th. Their strength of schedule was 103rd, and they only had 2 quad 1 wins. However, the ACC, SEC only had 17 bids total. So there were just 1 or 2 more available spots, so to speak. And then the other year was the next year, 2022. You had 11 conferences with multi bids, and you had 6 non-power 5 or non-power baseball. I don't know how many there are, 4 or 5. ASUN, Big Ten, Conference USA, Missouri Valley, West Coast, and WAC. This year, Grand Canyon from the WAC was the outlier, 55th RPI, 82nd strength of schedule, but they had 7 quad 1 wins. You look at their schedule that year, it was insane. They'd be I'm not going to name them off because I don't remember, but Texas Tech, Arizona were 2 top 25 wins, and I think they won the series against Texas Tech. So some pretty remarkable wins. But outside of that, there is no one under 35, 36, 41. There's no one under 41 in the last 3 years, RPI 41, to get an at-large bid from a non-major conference. So that's the long story now. Sorry, Mark. But we're getting there, right? Like the SoCon is the 8th highest ranked conference this year. We're getting there. If people keep investing in baseball, there's a good chance that we could become, I don't know, a 2-bid league here in a couple of years. But it's going to take sustained success and a little bit of luck from the SEC, ACC, not hogging all the picks.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Slim to none.
Oh,
But yeah,
well,
there's a chance.
that is a chance. We just talked about hope. That is a chance, yeah.
There's a chance. There's a chance the committee could just go in blind and randomly select ETSU. But all right, Samford Hall of Fame. So we inducted a new class, 2024 class. Some real big names on this list, including Samford's first ever national title winner, Duck Hodges, Jimmy Tillett, right? So we'll just go down the list here. Y'all chime in as we go. So kicking it off, we have the 2012 entire team, 2012 baseball team, 41 wins, first NCAA bid, won the SoCon tournament, defeated number 3 Florida that year. They eliminated Mississippi State in the regionals, which is hype. But I think we ultimately fell to Florida State, who was the host that year. Craziest stat, 7 guys on that team were drafted into the MLB. 7.
It's a sick roster,
I think we had 4 last year. 3 or 4 last year. Yeah, 7's crazy. Then we had Devlin Hodges, obviously Walter Payton Award winner, played with the Steelers with that remarkable year. It speaks for himself. Would have been amazing if we had just somehow managed to knock off Florida State in that game, and then if we had managed to, we were never going to beat Florida. Or no, he wasn't on that team. It was Florida State and Mississippi State.
Yeah, Mississippi State. It was like Mississippi State was like a 63 to 40 something type game where he threw for like 450 and like 4 Ts and 3 picks or something like that. But yeah.
Yep. And then we lost to Youngstown State in the first round of the playoffs, right?
In
Youngstown, Bo Pelini.
Yeah, Bo Pelini, yeah.
God, that game is seared in my mind. That was just an atrocious game. Anyway, Carissa Nelson. So she was our first ever national champion, 2017. She ran the indoor mile. That was the event that won her the Natty. She was an All-American. Obviously competed well in some of the spring events, but that's awesome, right? Like first national champion for Samford.
Yeah.
We got Reed Rawlings, men's basketball player from 1996 to 2000. He was part of, I guess, those Tillett teams that got to the NCAA tournament, and he's 9th in school history in scoring. So Reed, pretty good putting the ball in the hoop. John Russell, baseball player from 1958 to 1961. Guys, his career ERA was 1.9, and he went 12-2 as a senior. Didn't ever make it to the majors. Played in the minor league system for the Dodgers, but those are pretty stupid good numbers.
Yeah.
And then last but certainly not least, the Bucky of 20 years ago, Jimmy Tillett, basketball coach from 1997 to 2012, legendary back-to-back NCAA tournament bids, was the last time we were respectable at basketball until now. So yeah, pretty solid pretty solid Hall of Fame class, guys. I mean, some of these names were a little surprising that they weren't in there sooner. What do we got
What we
there,
got,
Jeff?
Jeb?
You're showing us something. You're on mute. What are you showing us?
My phone is so ridiculous. This is stupid, but
That's
here,
fine.
I'll flip the camera for you. This is how Jimmy Tillett signs a jersey, by the way.
Oh, stop. You have a signed jersey?
That's awesome. That's
He
awesome.
just
It's
signs his name. Like
kind of
just
like writing his name on a piece of
prints his
paper. Yeah.
name.
Yeah, prints his name. That's awesome. That's incredible.
I love that, dude. When did you
That's
get
awesome.
that?
Yeah.
I've had it.
Oh, was that your eBay find?
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So yeah,
Before
just
we
run it
move on-
back. 2012
before-
baseball team.
yeah.
Devlin
Yeah.
Hodges, Chris Nelson, Reed Rollins, John Russell, Jimmy Tillett.
I just want to say one thing about that baseball team. That's really when I first started like following Samford. That team, as you said, had 7 guys get drafted, was loaded. Saxon Butler, first base, hit 340. CK Irby hit 340, and also had a 2.06 ERA on the mound as a closer. So he was kind of he was awesome. And then you got other guys like Philip Irvin, obviously first round pick. Zeth Stone, second base. Brad Moss was on Samford staff before going to UAB. He hit 321 as a catcher. Brandon Miller led the entire country. He played right field. He led the entire country in home runs that year with 23. So that just goes to speak to how loaded this team was, right? Like 7 guys drafted. Crazy. Obviously, that's not even mentioning Tyler Philbin, who was on the bench, but he started at short the next year and was a really good shortstop. And you got other guys like Josh Morton in the pen, and then Andres Gracia, one of the closers, who had a big year in 2012 and had an even bigger year in 2013. So just going through those guys, just a massive, obviously, team getting the tournament. A lot of guys that played in the minors, so it's cool for them finally get that recognition. It's kind of like the first team that went in as a 4 seed and go beat a 1 seed in a regional.
It's awesome. It also goes to show just how hard it is to make the super regionals, much less Omaha. I mean, that team was loaded. Last year's Samford team was loaded. And it just, baseball is a funky, funky sport. The team that is finally going to break through, guys, is going to be the one we probably don't expect. It's going to be the one that kind of limps into the SoCon tournament. Maybe it's like the 4 seed, but they're scrappy. And then we, get through that gauntlet, make it in as a 4 seed at, like, I don't know, number 1 overall seed Vanderbilt or Florida State or Clemson. And then we just, make a little run. We're going to do it. We're going to break through eventually. So speaking of, let's get to State of the Dog. So baseball and softball got put to the bottom of the pile this week. Sorry, girls and guys. Softball, you got the freaking SoCon tournament this week, starting on Wednesday, which is going to be awesome. We'll start there. We ended the series with a win over Mercer 2-1, and we clinched the 3rd seed. We await the winner of Western Carolina and Furman Wednesday night, 7:00. So when this releases, it'll be the day of the game. We lost to Western 1 game to 2 games this year, but we beat Furman 2-1. So go Dens? ? And then if we win, if we win the game against Western or Furman, UNCG awaits us. We swept them, so hopefully it's kind of setting up nice for a little semifinal matchup against UTC. But we'll see. Granted, I saw you had a few notes here, but let's talk about softball for a minute.
Yeah, softball. Like we talked about last year, like how young this team is. They only had 3 seniors participate in at senior day, and you got a big time freshman with Katie Campbell this past week. She broke the school record for RBIs in a season with 49. The previous record was 45. So like a freshman breaking RBI record like that, and then you just go down the roster.
Yeah.
Talking about young players, Michaela Cothran starting at center. She's been leading off last few games. Logan Champion, a catcher, a junior. Mackenzie Newcomb, a pitching as a junior. Then you go down even farther. You've got Olivia Shaw, who had the big game-winning RBI double against Mississippi State. So you talk about this team. While yes, they're young, and you wanted to cancel the program 3 months ago. That like they're young and and they're peaking at the right time. And so just one thing to keep in mind is like how young this team is, and then watch out next year when these girls get a year older and get all this experience this year as they are the 3 seed as we'll get into going into the SoCon tourney this week. So
For the record, I wanted to punt to next year. I want to cancel the women's golf and men's golf programs. Those I will go on record of waste of donor money.
the women's golf can stay. The men, yeah, they can go. But yeah, the women can stay. They've got at least some potential. So,
Well, yeah. Well, we'll agree to disagree there, Grant. Baseball. So, baseball was also playing Mercer. We also won the series 2-1. We got a huge series this weekend up against UNCG on the road. We currently have we got 2 series left for the year. We have a 2-game lead for the 1 seed over UNCG, a 3-game lead over ETSU. And it's kind of us 3 who are vying for the double bye, the 1 and 2 seed for the SoCon tournament. Big one. I'm excited. This is I usually don't watch the Saturday games, but UNCG, I'm probably going to try to catch a little bit of each of them. Brooks Rice is still out. We don't really have any update there. Noah Berry seems to be the go-to guy for at least the bulk of the innings, but it's inconsistent, right? Like it seems like we use a multitude of arms. And then Garrett Howell and Michael Ross, player of the week. I think it's Garrett's second and Michael's third. So the stars are shining as the season's wrapping up. And now it's like, Brooks, we know you weren't amazing this year, but we kind of need you to get healthy because you're our best option. And if Noah can keep getting a little bit of experience on Saturday, maybe he becomes the Sunday guy. And maybe all of a sudden, if we all get healthy, again, don't know what Brooks's injury situation is like, but if we all get healthy, we got 3 solid arms going into Greenville, which would be very dangerous.
it's a good thing you didn't watch this past Saturday. 20-14, 4 hours and 4 minutes. That was
correct. That was I saw that score and I was just like, this is it. This is the modern era of baseball, of college baseball. That's why we need to go to wood bats, not juice balls.
And then Sunday there was a rain delay. So there's just a massive weekend in terms of time.
But we'll take that. We'll take the dub, the 6-inning dub. We'll take it.
Well, it was going to be a dub. Mercer was like, yeah, we don't have class. There's no reason for us to leave. We can wait out this rain delay as long as you want. It's okay. And so they stay, and then Samford ends up shutting them out the last 4 innings. It puts up 5 runs. Okay, you wanted to stay for this. Here's 5 runs, and here's a 10-5 win for you. So yeah, just a wild weekend on the diamond. So.
Yeah. Oh, poor Mercer.
That was incredible. Yeah, we don't have class. We can stay. It's fine. We can play the last 3 innings. Samford's like, you want to play the last 3 innings? Fine. We'll hit 2 bombs and 3 doubles. Boom. 12-5 win. Enjoy that bus ride home. It was incredible.
I love that. Oh, man. But yeah, so this weekend's going to be great. Mercer was exciting. I should have watched that Saturday game, even though we lost. I mean, 20-15. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. Whew, boy. UNCG. It's interesting. I feel like we're going to win the series, but the fact that it's on the road, this might be the first. I think we've won every single conference series. This will be the first one that I'm a little bit nervous about. Wofford has really mellowed out. That's who we end the season with. We were nervous about them a few weeks ago. Not as much now. So we'll see. UNCG up this weekend. Softball gets going on Wednesday when the episode drops. That State of the Bulldogs is out. See y'all next week.
Shout out Buckyball.